Can you deadlift and squat in the same day? Find out in today's Q&A. Hey everyone, Selwyn here for Wynn Strength, where the goal of the channel is to help you get a little bit stronger every single day. Thank you for clicking on another 5-Minute Friday Q&A video where I attempt to answer your questions in under 5 minutes. If you want your question answered, please leave a comment below and I'll get to that in a future episode. Also consider subscribing to the playlist so you don't miss out on any future episodes. So in today's video, I'm going to answer if you should be able to squat and deadlift on the same day. So let's start the timer. To answer the question, yes you can. That's it. A lot of my training programs have involved squatting and deadlifting on the same day. I'm a big fan of movement training splits rather than body part training splits. So rather than focus on which body part I'm attacking that day, I'll focus on which movements I want to train that day, as well as which movements get priority for that day, as well as over the course of the week. So rather than say pick movements based on the body part, so chest, instead of doing on one day, we're going to do chest, dumbbell flies, incline press, dips, things like that, then push-ups. The workouts will revolve around movements for the day. So today it might be a squat day, then a bench press accessory followed by a deadlift accessory with some upper back accessory work as well. So it would look something like we're opening up with competition style squats, then close grip bench press for reps, followed by Romanian deadlifts, and then wrapping up with some pull-ups. So we're kind of attacking the entire body in that one day, but we're not really necessarily going to failure on all the movements or training heavy, all the movements all the time in the same day. So whatever exercise you do end up choosing to go first for that day is going to be the priority movement for that day. And that's simply because you're going to be the most refreshed, you're going to be most energized for that opening movement, no matter what it is. If I was going to do that same split and I wanted to focus on close grip bench press, then I would open up with close grip bench press, then follow that up with a competition squat. Because even though I'm using two different muscle groups, my systemic fatigue is going to affect my performance in that secondary and subsequent movements after that first opening movement. So when we have a well planned out movement-based program, we're performing movements in priority, obviously. So the conditioning level that we have is going to be one of our limiting factors. Something I found out in my training in recent years, since we're exposing our body to a lot of systemic fatigue with big compound movements. When we encounter another bench press session later in the week, we'll have a lot more energy available to use since we've maybe had a day or two to recover in between. Rather than trying to do 3 different bench press varieties in the same day, we're splitting that 3 different bench press varieties over the course of the week. So we should ideally have more energy to hit each bench press variety, which should mean we're able to get more reps and or more weight. So we're going to stimulate that muscle a little bit more. That's kind of why I prefer the movement-based split. But this is where planning becomes very important because we need to plan out our week's lifts so that we can prioritize those lifts, but also train around the fatigue and manage that stress so we're not doing too much in the same day and allowing our body time to recover in between movements just enough so that we can stress them, give them time to recover, and then stress them again. That way we're getting maximal return for our efforts. I like the simple method of starting off each workout day with one of the big compound movements. So I generally like to train 4 days a week. So that just means day 1 is squat, day 2 might be bench, day 3 is deadlift, and then day 4 is overhead press, or some variant of that. But that way we're getting priority for each of those movements on a different day. And then after that, if you're still planning around this, you're going to want to plan how many times you want to be exposed to each movement. Most people will be able to bench press and overhead press with the most frequency 3 to 5 times a week. You'll be able to squat probably around 2 to 3 times a week, and deadlifting is probably going to be stuck at 1 to 2 times per week. You notice a pattern that as you use heavier weights, you're going to be able to get exposed to that lift less and less. So because we aren't playing with because a deadlift is going to be absolutely heavier than a bench press, the deadlift is going to cause more systemic fatigue to the body than a bench press will. It's also engaging more muscle mass just out of default. The more weight we can lift, the more muscles we're using to lift that weight. So we need to plan carefully around that so that we can again, manage that stress and manage that fatigue so we're not driving our body into the ground too hard. I would recommend against performing something like 5x5 heavy squats and 5x5 heavy deadlifts on the same day. Rather pick heavy squats followed with a deadlift accessory that might have some mechanical disadvantage, so the weights you use don't have to be that heavy, but the movement itself does feel quite heavy. So yes, you can perform squat and deadlift on the same day, even just about there. So you can perform, to answer the question, yes, you can perform the squat and the deadlift on the same day and potentially even a bench press and pull-ups. Just plan around that, manage your stress effectively, and you'll be just fine. So if you got some value out of this video, please consider subscribing so you don't miss out on any future episodes of 5 Minute Friday Q&A. Also consider clicking that like button down below. This has been Salman from Wynn Strength, and remember to never stop learning and to never stop lifting.